The relentless summer sun beat down on the cracked asphalt of Harmony Creek. Dust devils danced in the distance, mocking the parched earth. Elias, his calloused hands smudged with grease, wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. His ancient pickup truck, reliable as a worn-out friend, idled beside a modest, weather-beaten farmhouse on the outskirts of town. He was here for a service call, a leaky water tank, a small job, probably just a worn-out washer or a loose fitting. Just another day in the life of Elias Thorne, the town's quiet, dependable handyman. Elias wasn't a man of many words, but his work spoke volumes. In a world that often felt loud and chaotic, he found solace in the quiet hum of machinery, the satisfying click of a tool fitting into place, the simple elegance of things working the way they were supposed to. He fixed things, not just pipes and wires, but sometimes, in the smallest ways, he felt like he was helping to patch up the frayed edges of people's lives. He didn't charge much, just enough to keep his tools sharp and his truck running. He believed in an honest day's work and the simple dignity of helping a neighbor. He wasn't chasing wealth or recognition. His wealth was in the respect he earned, the quiet nods of gratitude, the feeling of being a useful part of Harmony Creek. The farmhouse was nestled amongst fields that looked tired and thirsty. A lone oak stood sentinel in the yard, its leaves drooping slightly. It wasn't a grand place, but it had a quiet resilience about it, like the woman who likely lived there. As Elias approached the front door, a screen door whined open and a woman emerged. She was small, with a kind face etched with the lines of time and hard work. Her eyes, though a little tired, held a spark of warmth. She wore a faded cotton dress and an apron dusted with what looked like flour. There was a gentle air about her, an aura of quiet strength that resonated with Elias. "You must be Elias," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I'm Beatrice, thank you for coming." Elias nodded, offering a small, polite smile. "Happy to help, ma'am. Heard you were having trouble with your water tank." "Oh, it's just a nuisance, really," Beatrice replied, a faint sigh escaping her lips. "Started leaking a few days ago. Wastes water, and with the dry spell, well, every drop counts." She gestured towards the back of the house. "It's around back near the shed." As they walked, Elias noticed the meticulous care of the small garden patch near the house. Tomatoes ripened on the vine, herbs released a fragrant aroma, and vibrant zinnias bloomed defiantly in the heat. It was a testament to Beatrice's dedication, a small oasis in the arid landscape. Elias had a profound respect for people who nurtured things, who understood the patience and effort it took to bring life from the soil. The water tank was an old galvanized steel model, perched on a simple stand. A slow, persistent drip splattered onto the ground, staining the earth a darker shade. Elias knelt beside it, his trained eyes quickly assessing the situation. It looked like a worn-out valve, a common problem with tanks this age. It wasn't a complicated fix, but it required the right part and a bit of careful work. "Looks like the main valve seal is gone, ma'am," Elias explained, pointing to the culprit. "I've got a replacement part in my truck, should be able to get it sealed up tight for you." "Oh, thank goodness," Beatrice said, relief washing over her face. "I was worried it might be something more serious." Elias retrieved his tools and the new valve from his truck. As he worked, he noticed Beatrice watching him, not in an impatient way, but with a quiet curiosity. She didn't hover or offer unsolicited advice, just observed with a peaceful presence. The sun beat down relentlessly, and sweat beaded on Elias's forehead, dripping onto the metal of the tank. "Hot one today, isn't it?" Beatrice remarked gently. "That it is, ma'am," Elias agreed, his voice slightly strained from the effort. He loosened the old valve, the metal groaning in protest. "Would you like a glass of water or perhaps some iced tea?" she offered. "I just made a fresh batch." Elias hesitated for a moment. He usually preferred to power through a job, especially a quick one like this, but something in Beatrice's voice, her genuine kindness, made him pause. "That'd be mighty appreciated, ma'am," he said, a grateful smile touching his lips. Beatrice disappeared into the house, returning a moment later with a tall glass of iced tea that tinkled invitingly with ice cubes. She handed it to Elias, who took a long, refreshing sip. The tea was perfect, not too sweet, with a hint of mint. It was a small gesture, but in that moment, under the scorching sun, it felt like an act of profound generosity. "Thank you kindly, ma'am," he said, feeling the cool liquid revive him. "You're doing good work, young man," Beatrice said, her eyes twinkling slightly. "It's a comfort to have someone reliable around here." Elias finished the tea and returned to the task, feeling a renewed sense of energy. With careful precision, he removed the old valve, cleaned the connection, and fitted the new one into place. He tightened it securely, then turned the water back on. There was a brief gurgle, and then silence. No more dripping. The tank was sealed. "There, we go," Elias said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Tight as a drum now. Shouldn't have any more trouble with that." Beatrice beamed. "Oh, you're a lifesaver, Elias. Thank you so much." "Just doing my job, ma'am," he replied, starting to pack up his tools. "Glad I could help." As he gathered his equipment, Beatrice spoke again, her voice a little hesitant this time. "Elias, I know you didn't charge much for your time, but I'd like to offer you a little something extra. You came out on such short notice, and in this heat." She reached into the pocket of her apron and pulled out a small, worn leather pouch. Elias politely waved a hand. "No need, ma'am. The charge is just for the part and a small service fee. It wasn't a big job." "But you went above and beyond," she insisted gently. "And that iced tea. Well, you can't put a price on simple kindness." Elias felt a warmth spread through his chest. It wasn't about the money. It was the sentiment. "Your kindness was payment enough, ma'am," he said truthfully. "That tea was the best I've had all summer." Beatrice smiled, a truly radiant smile that transformed her face. "Well, if you won't take extra money, perhaps you'd accept something else?" She gestured vaguely towards the fields that stretched out beyond her small garden. "I have a few things that might be of use." Elias followed her gaze, his eyes scanning the seemingly empty fields. "What do you mean, ma'am?" "Come with me," she said, turning and walking slowly towards a path that led away from the farmhouse deeper into the property. Elias, intrigued, followed. As they walked, the landscape began to change. The dry, dusty earth gave way to carefully tilled rows. And then Elias saw them. Row upon row of low-lying bushes, their leaves a vibrant green, laden with clusters of plump indigo berries. Blueberry bushes. Not just a few bushes, but acres and acres of them stretching out as far as the eye could see, shimmering in the afternoon sun like a vast, purple sea. Elias stopped dead in his tracks, his jaw slackening slightly. He had heard rumors of a large blueberry farm somewhere in the area, but he had never known exactly where it was located or who owned it, and he certainly never imagined it belonged to the quiet, unassuming woman who had just offered him iced tea. These are yours, ma'am?" he stammered, his voice filled with disbelief. Beatrice nodded, a quiet pride in her expression. "They are. It started small, just a few plants I put in years ago. But it grew, little by little. It's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love." Elias was speechless. He had been so focused on the small leak, the humble farmhouse, the simple act of fixing a water tank, that he had completely missed the magnitude of what lay beyond. This wasn't just a simple woman. She was a formidable force, a successful farmer, who had cultivated the largest blueberry operation in the entire state, right here in Harmony Creek, hidden in plain sight. But the house, it's so modest," Elias finally managed to say, his mind reeling. Beatrice chuckled softly. "Why would I need a grand house? This one has everything I need. It's where my husband and I built our life, where we raised our children. It's home." She paused, a shadow of sadness passing over her face. "He's been gone these past 10 years, but I still feel him here. And the farm, it keeps me going." She gestured to the endless rows of bushes. "These berries, they're my pride. and joy. They require a lot of water, as you can imagine. That's why the leaky tank was such a concern. Every drop truly does count. Elias suddenly understood the depth of her gratitude for such a simple repair. It wasn't just about convenience. It was about protecting her livelihood, her legacy, the very source of her strength and connection to her past. Elias, Beatrice said, turning to face him fully, her eyes warm and sincere. You came here today to fix a small problem for a seemingly simple woman. You treated me with respect, you worked diligently, and you accepted a simple glass of tea with grace. You didn't see a big farm owner. You saw someone who needed a little help. That kind of genuine kindness is rare. She walked over to a particularly lush bush, its branches heavy with ripe berries. With practiced hands, she began to pick, her movements efficient and gentle. I want you to take some of these home with you, she said, offering him a basket she had brought along. As a token of my appreciation, not for fixing the tank but for being the kind of person who fixes things without expecting anything in return. Elias was overcome with emotion. He had come here expecting to spend 20 minutes on a routine repair and leave with a small payment. Instead, he had stumbled upon a hidden world of hard work, quiet resilience, and unexpected generosity. The sheer scale of the farm, the humility of its owner, and her profound gratitude for his simple act of service left him feeling humbled and deeply moved. Ma'am, I don't know what to say, he stammered, accepting the basket. There's nothing to say, Elias, Beatrice replied with a gentle smile. Just take them, and know that your kindness didn't go unnoticed. Elias spent the next hour helping Beatrice pick blueberries. It was a simple task, but doing it alongside her, listening to her quiet stories about the farm, about the challenges and the rewards, he felt a connection that went beyond a handyman and his client. He saw the dedication in her eyes, the love she poured into her work, the quiet strength that had allowed her to build something so remarkable. As the sun began to dip towards the horizon, casting long shadows across the fields, Elias's basket was overflowing with plump, perfect blueberries. He had never seen so many in one place. Thank you, ma'am, he said, the words feeling inadequate to express the depth of his gratitude. This is too much. Nonsense, Beatrice said, her voice firm but kind. Consider it a small return on a significant investment, an investment in simple human decency. She walked him back towards his truck, the basket of berries, nestled in his arms. At his truck, Elias carefully placed the basket on the passenger seat. He turned to Beatrice, wanting to say something meaningful, something that captured the unexpected turn his day had taken, the profound impact her quiet revelation and overwhelming generosity had had on him. Ma'am, he began, his voice thick with emotion. I came here to fix a leaky tank. I didn't know you owned all this. He gestured vaguely towards the vast blueberry fields stretching out behind her. And you treated me with such kindness, like I was doing something truly important. Beatrice smiled, a knowing look in her eyes. Elias, every act of kindness is important, no matter how small it seems. You fixed my water tank, yes, but you also brought a little bit of light to my day. You reminded me that there are good people in the world, people who are willing to help without seeking recognition or reward. That's worth more than all the blueberries in the state. She paused, her gaze softening. And sometimes, she added, her voice barely above a whisper, the greatest treasures are found in the most unexpected places, in the most unassuming packages. You just have to be open to seeing them. Elias drove away from the farmhouse that evening, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The basket of blueberries sat beside him, a tangible reminder of the day's events. He hadn't just fixed a water tank. He had stumbled upon a revelation, a hidden world of quiet power and immense generosity. He thought about Beatrice, the simple woman with the extraordinary farm. He thought about how easily he could have just fixed the tank, taken his small fee and left. never knowing the true scope of her life. But her kindness, her willingness to share her abundance, had opened his eyes. The experience stayed with Elias in the days and weeks that followed. He found himself approaching his work with a renewed sense of purpose. He wasn't just fixing things, he was connecting with people, offering a helping hand, a moment of reliability in their busy lives. He realized that every person he encountered, no matter how ordinary they seemed, held a universe of their own, a story waiting to be discovered. He started paying more attention to the small details, the quiet cues that people offered. He lingered a little longer to chat, to listen to their stories, to see beyond the immediate task at hand. He realized that the greatest rewards often came not from the size of the job or the amount of money earned, but from the human connection, the feeling of being part of something larger than himself. One afternoon, a few weeks later, Elias was working on a plumbing issue for a young couple who had recently moved to Harmony Creek. They were clearly struggling financially, the husband working 2 jobs just to make ends meet, the wife caring for a new baby. The repair was more complicated than anticipated, requiring extra parts and more time. As Elias worked, he saw the worry etched on their faces, the silent anxiety about the growing cost. When he finished, the husband approached him, his hands shoved awkwardly in his pockets. "Elias," he began, his voice hesitant. "We really appreciate you fixing this. We don't know what we would have done. But, well, with the extra parts and the time, how much do we owe you?" Elias looked at the young couple, at the tired but hopeful eyes of the wife holding her sleeping baby, at the husband's anxious expression. He thought of Beatrice, of her quiet strength and unexpected generosity. He thought of the endless rows of blueberry bushes, a testament to years of hard work and dedication. He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "You know," he said, his voice gentle, "sometimes the simplest fixes are the most important. And sometimes the best payment isn't in money." He paused, then continued, "How about this? You just pay for the cost of the parts. The rest? Consider it a neighbor helping a neighbor." The young couple stared at him stunned. Tears welled up in the wife's eyes. "Elias, we don't know what to say," the husband stammered, relief washing over his face. "Nothing to say," Elias replied, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment spread through him. "Just pay it forward when you can." As he drove away that day, Elias felt a profound sense of peace. He hadn't just fixed a leaky pipe. He had offered a lifeline, a moment of unexpected grace to a family in need. He realized that Beatrice hadn't just given him blueberries. She had given him a lesson in the power of perspective, in the quiet strength of humility, and in the transformative impact of simple kindness. He continued his work in Harmony Creek, fixing things, one repair at a time. But now, there was a subtle shift in his approach. He saw the people he helped not just as clients with problems to be solved, but as individuals with their own stories, their own struggles, their own hidden depths. He learned to listen more, to see beyond the surface, to appreciate the quiet, dignity in every life. The story of the handyman and the simple woman with the giant blueberry farm became a quiet legend in Harmony Creek. Not a story of grand gestures or dramatic events, but a story of quiet connection, of unexpected kindness, and of the profound impact one person can have on another, simply by being open to seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary. Elias never spoke about the size of Beatrice's farm to others. It wasn't his story to tell, and it felt like a sacred trust, a shared secret between two people who had connected in a moment of unexpected grace. He would occasionally see Beatrice in town, a small nod and a warm smile exchanged between them, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they shared. He learned that true wealth wasn't measured in dollars or possessions, but in the richness of human connection, in the quiet satisfaction of helping others, in the ripple effect of kindness that spread outwards, touching lives in ways he might never fully know. And sometimes on a hot summer evening, Elias would sit on his porch, a bowl of fresh, blueberries in his lap, and watch the sun set over Harmony Creek. He would think of Beatrice, of her quiet strength and immense generosity. He would think of the countless lives she had touched, not just through her successful farm but through her simple, genuine kindness. And he would feel a profound sense of gratitude for the day he went to fix a simple woman's water tank, not knowing that he was about to receive a gift far more valuable than any payment. The gift of seeing the world a little differently. The gift of understanding the quiet power of a helping hand. The gift of knowing that even in the dustiest corners of life, there are always fields of blueberries waiting to be discovered, tended by the most unexpected of hands. And that, he realized, was a truth worth more than all the farms in the state. It was a truth that watered the soul and helped kindness grow, one drop at a time. The simple act of fixing a leak had revealed a fountain of generosity, a reminder that the most profound connections often emerge from the most unassuming encounters. And in the quiet heart of Harmony Creek, the ripple effect of that simple act continued to spread, a testament to the enduring power of kindness and the hidden, extraordinary within the ordinary.